So I wasn't exactly sure about how I was going to approach this subject, because I know quite a few people have already done this, but I want to give my take on this from somebody that prefers Kale over Caulifla. And as the more and more I think about this character, I didn't even want to bother to make a video on this because I felt that most people have already said what I was already thinking and considering. But I just said screw it. I'll just give my own take on this character and why I think she's a big bag of shit. So, Kefla is the fusion between Caulifla and Kale. But what I fail to understand is what exactly about Kefla represents Kale. Kefla is like Caulifla level 2. Same personality, same look. I mean, if anything, I think Kale is just plugged in there just to give her a power boost. And I say this because Kale was... I'm trying to find the words to describe this accurately. Kale was advertised, right, as the first female Super Saiyan. Or, I'm sorry, the quote, first female Saiyan, before this whole arc had even started. And then they just threw in Caulifla out of nowhere. And basically they just made Kale the secondary female Saiyan who doesn't even have any major part to this arc. She's only here just because she's a female. She's only here to serve as a power for Caulifla, like basically a sidekick to say the least. So the beef that I have with Toei is, why would you have Kale, your poster girl, right, for the first female Saiyan, and then you plug in this random unknown that most people, and I speak for a lot of other people because I've seen how other people react to her. I'm referring to Caulifla now. They plug in Caulifla, who everybody hates for the most part, the ones that actually, you know, critique the series and actually want the show to get better. And they just have Kale become, like I said, a sidekick, and the way this character is now, Kale has to rely on Caulifla. And it's clear that Caulifla is, well, I don't want to say this, but she's kind of like the star out of the two, because that's how they've written this. Every time, like I said in a previous video, there's no good moment for Kale. There's no epic moment where she can just shine on her own. It's just the fact that, you know, she just has this crybaby mentality, which would have been fine, I personally think. It's just the fact that they had to add in Caulifla into the whole equation, because Gohan was a crybaby. If Caulifla didn't even exist, Kale would remind me of a female Gohan in terms of personality. That's why I would say her power-ups would make sense, because it's based off of emotion. It's a lot more legitimate as opposed to Caulifla, who just runs through transformations and who simply just learns everything because she's a quote genius. And that term is loosely thrown around nowadays because apparently that's the excuse for a lot of characters who get these random power boosts for no explanation whatsoever. Oh, excuse me, except for the fact that she's a female, so I guess that's a good enough excuse. And a lot of fanboys consider her their girlfriend of the Dragon Ball Super universe, because there's this half of the majority that watch the show, they just can't get enough of her for whatever reason, and then the other half actually critique the show because they actually care about what the context of what we're watching is. So back to the fusion. When I see these two fuse, like I said, all I see is just Caulifla with a different hairstyle. It's Caulifla level 2. So, what exactly was so great about this fusion? Why? Because she was able to keep up with Goku? Apparently. And what made this character so powerful that she could actually like I said, again, somehow, quote, keep up with Ultra Instinct Goku. A form that pushed Jiren to his... Well, I'm not going to say to what specific level because we don't know how strong he is, but the point is it pushed him far enough for Jiren to actually take Goku a little bit seriously. So, it just doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, this is probably the biggest rant I will ever do for now. I don't see what else I could say that hasn't been said, so I'm just going to cut this off here. And yeah, very disappointing. I guess one last thing I could say is, I guess now I know why I probably decided to do this, because since Kale and Caulifla are out of the picture, it kind of gave me time to reflect on everything that has happened and every scene that incorporated Kale and Caulifla, and this is the conclusion I came to. So if you sat through this, thank you for listening.